director of the Furious Flower Poetry Center. And I was just informed a few minutes ago that this is Black Poetry Day. Wow. Black Poetry Day. And let me tell you all, you are here for the very first reading in our series, our reading series, in our 25th year of existence as Furious Flower. How special is that? Isn't that something? Furious Flower as a conference is now 25 years old. And we have this amazing poet, Amanda Awesome Johnston, as Lorna Lane says. I want you to meet the wonderful members of our staff. Lorna Lane, who just did a great interview with our guest poet. Jessica Alfonso, you just met her. And we have Catherine Rogers, who is not here yet, but she'll probably be coming. And then I want to introduce you to a very special person who will introduce our guest poet. And you will get to hear him later on in this semester on November the 7th. All right, and he will be speaking, and so you want to hear his lecture. But none other than Dr. McKinley Melton is here as one of 21 recipients of the American Council of Learned Societies Burkhardt Fellowship. Now, I'm happy to talk about that because we feel really, really privileged that this scholar, this major scholar, speaking it into existence, McKinley, this major scholar decided to come here to JMU to study with us and help us during this particular academic year. He is a professor at Gettysburg College. He got his undergraduate from Duke University and his PhD from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. He is going to, in fact, lead our development of the Collegiate Summit, which will happen in March. And I'm giving you these dates because you don't want to miss our Collegiate Summit, which will be March 18th through the 21st, or 19th through the 21st. So keep some of these dates in mind because those people who are part of Word is Born, they know how exciting and amazing. Where are my Word is Born people? Okay, do it to you representative. Okay, so would you please give a warm welcome to Dr. McKinley Melton, who will introduce our guest poet.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's getting better. We're working our way there. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our guest poet today. Amanda Johnston was born in East St. Louis, Illinois, and raised in Austin, Texas, where she currently resides. Amanda, who earned her Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from the University of Southern Maine, is the author of 2 chapbooks, Guap and Lock and Key, and the full-length collection, Another Way to Say Enter. Her poetry and interviews have appeared in numerous online and print publications, including Callaloo, Poetry, Muzzle, and Pluck, and the anthologies The Ringing Ear, Black Poets Lean South, and Women of Resistance, Poems for a New Feminism, just to name a few. Amanda's work has been recognized with multiple artist enrichment grants from the Kentucky Foundation for Women and fellowships from the Cave Canem Foundation and the Austin Project of the University of Texas. Named one of Blavity's 13 Black Poets You Should Know, Amanda's work has been featured on Bill Moyers, the Poetry Society of America's online series In Their Own Words, and the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day series. The various accolades that populate her resume, however, are only part of the story of who Amanda is. I first met her about 5 years ago as part of her work as a co-founder of Black Poets Speak Out. And many of you all have heard of Black Poets Speak Out? Not enough hands will work on that. We'll get better as the evening goes on. This was a viral campaign that began with various poets recording and uploading readings of their work and the work of other Black poets, preceded by the affirmative declaration, "I am a Black poet who refuses to remain silent while this nation continues to murder Black people. I have a right to be angry." These online videos gave birth to a movement of organized activities, public readings, protests, and letter writing campaigns to elected officials. While I could simply tell you as a part of a list of recognitions that Amanda was a finalist for the Freedom Plow Award for Poetry and Activism from Split This Rock, I think it's more important that I tell you that this is a woman whose passion and commitment to activism and social justice animates everything that she does. She is a fierce advocate for justice, and she remains powerfully committed to the very simple idea that no one should walk this earth in fear for their lives simply because the color of their skin marks them as an always threat. As you will soon see for yourselves, Amanda is a force of nature who radiates power every time she speaks and who uses words in order to harness that power for a purpose. As much as she is animated by a call toward justice, I think it's also important that I mention to you that she is motivated at her core by an ethos of love. Having been hosted by her in Austin, I know firsthand what a firm believer she is in the significance of community. And I know that she is fully invested in the power and the potential of bringing folks together, inviting them to come to the table, enjoying in the restorative power of good food, good laughter, and good company. The extent to which she is the living embodiment of community and togetherness for friends and family alike cannot be fully captured by me simply telling you that she is the founder and executive director of Torch Literary Arts, or that she is the current president of the Cave Canem Foundation. Just know, trust me, and soon see for yourselves that to be in her presence is to be in the presence of a love that empowers you to stand just a little bit taller. And to be in community with her is to know that you are most certainly with family. While I could go on and on, I'm fairly certain that not a single person here came to hear me speak, and instead you all are really interested in hearing Amanda herself. So I will close by mentioning that she is perhaps most impressive because of her commitment to paying it forward through education. Whether working with middle school students in Austin or in her role as a Stone Coast MFA faculty member, or facilitating writing workshops at the Center for African American Poetry and Poetics, the Langston Hughes House, or the Brooklyn Museum, or, as she did earlier today, right here at JMU, she remains committed to helping her students discover their own voice and tap into the transformative potential of language to articulate one's reality and to speak truth to power. As representatives from the Furious Flower and James Madison University community, I hope that you all will join me in providing a very warm welcome to Amanda Johnston.
Thank you so much. Yes, a round of applause for McKinley in that introduction. Thank you. Seriously, a round of applause. You came prepared. Be prepared. I'm very humbled by that. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much for coming. This is such a beautiful room. Look at this wonderful gathering. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Lauren, Dr. Gavin, McKinley, all of you come to the JMU community. It's a special treat to be here, and I really do enjoy opportunities like this where I get to spend time with students and all those who appreciate and revel in the word and poetry. I'll start with a poem. I'm going to be reading from my collection, Another Way to Say Enter. And these poems, you'll see they kind of weave through a woman's life and experience, my experience as a mother, as a wife, as an activist, as a sister, as a complicated human being in this world that sometimes we don't let women fully explore. So in pulling this book together, I said, I'm going to do that. At least I'm going to attempt to. Enter. I wrote this poem, Enter, for my first daughter, Zaina. There was a beautiful exhibit at the Prize Literature and Arts Center in Austin that has this great picture that my mother captured of my daughter being born, where she's half in this world, half still unborn, and there's just a light shining on her. Enter. Near the end of the beginning, how life overlaps our edges, this is how one body forms the next, a world within a womb, pushing against translucent sound, heartbeat, breath, Amniotic whistle dive into darkness, eyes tight against slick suffocation. Listen, a familiar scream. Come, push against the tightening rope. Welcome pressure, welcome pain. Come upon the shore, still wet, still water, 1 foot in waves, arms stretched toward sound. Yes, here, you are here, stay here, call it home. Thank you. Let's see here. I'm just going to flip around a little bit. A lot of my poems are short. Lucille Clifton gave me permission for that. So if I get to the end of a poem and you're like, is that the end? Probably is. That's all right. Breaking from the cell you've decorated nicely. Force the skeleton key into the antique lock. Feel the tumbler resist, then give. Your hands shake at the opening of freedom unleashed. We named you Mercy after Gwendolyn Brooks. I count the years after you, know your would-be ages, and remember the sadness that consumed me with the bitter sound of you, my almost children. Could not conceive in conceiving you, our muted heat and all that got through heaven's gate to become that half-wing that was your soul, was you. I saw your face once, and yes, I did kiss your cheeks and cry for your sweet, not quite nose, not quite lips. Would I get another chance to see you if I held the knife? Cold, the sterile taker's tools, my hands bloody and damp. In the darkness, I felt your toes bloom small petals against my ribs, your closed eyes pulps of possibility. Did you see me? The one with empty arms stretching to embrace a silhouette of you, a ghost with little more than hope for history. Or did I make that up to keep you with me a little longer? Did you stay until the no I set upon your body untangled itself from sprigs of hair and released you from the softness that tethered you to the love in our cold mercy? Quieted blues, your singers whose band tucked away their baritone horns, and my chosen grief. How those little workers of sadness gathered me up, my heart that splintered with your hard stop. I will never know the joy to have handled your urgent cries against my chest, or thirst for the almost milk that did not swell but was light as air. So that poem, the form is called A Golden Shovel, that Terrence Hayes created. And what that is you take a line from a Gwendolyn Brooks poem, and each word from that line that you select is the last word of each line of your poem. So the line that I borrowed from Gwendolyn Brooks is, you remember the children you got that you did not get, the damp small pulps with a little or with no hair, the singers and workers that never handled the air. That's from her poem, Mother, The Mother. Let's see. Love is a bloody thing in the dark. I keep faith in tangible things, the known weight of bagged rice, ounces of milk, the height of children recorded on door frames, my hand balancing time with lead. Before the land was plotted, scored into square footage, before rings were sized and exchanged, we needed to see what was within, the microscopic language of platelets, bodies fused together. What armies sit dormant in our dark? What pathogens did we welcome in our slow and steady march, coming that bloomed in silence without lesions, whispers, or fevered sweat? I'd like to think I know my body and the bodies multiplied across my back. We kiss and you kiss them all. Thank you. I welcome ums, heys, finger snaps, well, all of the above. So this is interactive. Feel free. You don't have to hold it in. Please don't hold it in.
Because this is Africa.
Yes. That's right, and it is Black Poetry Day, so we are testifying. So in that spirit, I'll read this poem, this for my husband, Fabian. Reading in bed. Books gather beside our dust ruffle, abandoned fiction and verse comfort each other, waiting for my hand to slip down and caress their bindings. Time will wait for stories, pages pause for me and any other, but my lover rustling the sheets calls for deep reading. I thumb through his creases, practice a new tongue, our quiet oral history.
Well.
There's grown people in this room. So, all right. Praise poem, if you will. So there's another poem here. This is Domicile. Who knows Luther Vandross?
Whoa.
Yes, not nearly enough hands raised. That is homework. Google Luther Vandross and change your life, get your life. But the epigraph in this poem is a chair is not a house and a house is not a home. Luther Vandross. Tucked under an overpass, a bedroom with no walls, a soiled rug divides highway soot and city from what is claimed as home. In the center, a queen bed with fitted sheets and a turned-down comforter. Dusty pillows wait for tired heads under tons of concrete and steel, trusting the weight of the world will not come crashing down. Is love made in that bed? Does the world watch and discover this bead of life on display? Its glint of, yes, this too is a life worth sharing. I consider my home cookie-cutter stability in a shaky market. How would my life fit under a bridge? Would there be room for the fridge, racks of shoes, a second living room set? Is the TV enough? Its blank face reflecting our empty arms, wayward dreams? Would my heart remember, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, that kiss of vows that bind us through what may come, pillows on the bed we've made? Thank you. So I'm loving on my husband, Fabian, which is true, but also sometimes he gets on my nerves. And my cousin asked me once, he asked me why there were no poems about men being done wrong, and I said, that's because that doesn't happen. And then I said, well, maybe sometimes it do, but I'm a Southern woman, and I wrote this poem in response, and then he stopped asking me to write poems. But it had to be said, even now, a woman is doing you wrong. She is folding your pants against the crease, losing your favorite tie, the paisley one, on purpose, sipping your bourbon mixed with Kool-Aid, napping on your side of the couch, remote hidden beneath the wrong cushion, just so you can't find it. When your game is on, she is loud on the phone, annoying you with chatter. She is talking about you, confessing everything in code, rolling eyes and sucking teeth, daring you to look back, say something smart, like that time your mama warned you about Southern women. Only thing sharper than her mouth is her blade. Only thing faster are the bullets in her daddy's gun. Do something dumb like love her despite the moan she leaks in her sleep. Ignore how her face changes when she remembers a life without you and grins. Some of y'all might be too young for that, but in like 20 years, when you're deep into that love, there'll be that one day. That one day. But then it's all right. It was fun. All right. Let's see. Let's see.
I got you, Amanda.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Amen. All right. Hand to mouth. Busy hands split 2-day-old chicken in half. I pull spine and rib from meat. I make this small body, this bird, new that must be fed again to hungry mouths at my table, our winged loves who chirp on phones and laugh about whatever isn't killing them. I boil water, add worn chicken, and burn my fingers, a small sacrifice. Bone catches in my daughter's throat. This food I gift, a resurrected carcass, gritty with prayer to postpone dirt on the dying. So McKinley mentioned Black Poets Speak Out. So there are some poems in here that were written in support of that campaign against police violence. I'm going to read some of those, but first I'm going to start with that mantra. My name is Amanda Johnston. I'm a Black poet who will not remain silent while this nation continues to murder Black people. I have a right to be angry. I live in Texas. I don't know if y'all have seen lately, Texas has been in the news, still dealing with all of this, as everywhere is. But just a week after the murder conviction and sentencing in Botham Jean's death in Dallas, just literally 30 minutes down the road in Fort Worth, there was another murder where Antoinette, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing her name, but the beautiful young woman was murdered in her bedroom. She was playing video games with her nephew and shot through a window. So this is something that we're still very much dealing with. It's not new and it's not over. So please stay educated and speak on it and demand that there is equality and equity when it comes to our social justice and our criminal justice systems, wherever you are. No good deed goes unpunished. I see the white man driving next to me and consider every scenario of this moment as we approach a red light and what's at risk if I lower my window, expose my daughter and myself to the unknown repercussions of kindness. I calculate the risk involved to tell him his gas cap is open. His face, a concoction of morning traffic and time, ignores my initial honk and gesture toward his tank. My daughter asks, "Is it safe?" I assure her I'll smile, be soft, do all the right things that in no way guarantee we'll survive this human interaction should he see danger, a threat in my concerned Black woman face. I honk again. I refuse to live in a world where we're too afraid to do what's right. The man turns toward our car, aware now of our existence and the immediate future rests in his lap and what's beyond my understanding. He nods and drives off, gas cap dangling. My daughter corrects me, "No, Mama, the gas, is it safe?" And I'm lost in meaning. What is safe in this burning for survival? A little to the back here. Facing us, after Yusuf Komanyaka. My Black face fades, hiding inside black smoke. I knew they'd use it, damn it, tear gas. I'm grown, I'm fresh. Their clouded assumption eyes me like a runaway, guilty as night chasing morning. I run this way, the street lets me go. I turn that way, I'm inside the back of a police van again, depending on my attitude to be the difference. I run down the signs, half expecting to find my name protesting in ink. I touch the name Freddie Gray. I see the beat cop's worn eyes, names stretch across the people's banner, but when they walk away, the names fall from our lips. Paparazzi flash, call it riot, the ground. A body on the ground. A white cop's image hovers over us, then his blank gaze looks through mine. I'm a broken window. He's raised his right arm, a gun in his hand. In the black smoke, a drone tracking targets. No, a crow gasping for air. So there's this organization, you may have heard of it, called Outdoor Afros. If you haven't, look it up. It's a really incredible organization that is empowering Black people to return to nature, which shouldn't be such a radical thing if you think about it. Go to the parks, go to our national parks and enjoy them. But history tells us we've been excluded from those spaces, and it's actually become a dangerous place for us to then go into places where we're not expected to be. So they had a group meeting. I decided I wanted to go to one. I have not done any of the activities yet because I'm just not an outdoorsy charge person. I try to be, but I'm just really not. But I at least got this poem out of it. So night hike. The outdoor Afro's guide promises our eyes will adjust. Moonlight is enough to see the beauty in the dark. Without entering the woods, I see our blackness pull the grassy hem over our bodies. We appear from behind trees, hands up, covered in moss. We fit the description of dead leaves. A mass of mag-light teeth cut branches, startle the wind from our limbs. Boulders clutch their earth. Pine trees lean away from our path. The moon, great witness in the sky, squints us into shadows of what was and wasn't there. When my daughter wasn't assaulted. She shook with fear, or was it guilt, at the officer's unraised hand and smile, how she leaned away slowly when he called a tow truck instead of backup, how her tears fled when he showed mercy over rage for the couple on the side of the highway, flat tire wasted against asphalt. She couldn't help but look at her white boyfriend pacing along this strip of road and wonder, what if this was a different part of Texas? What if this hero was a different shade of power? Would she be so lucky, or was it luck? If the absence of a known pain is just a heavy hand in repose. So that poem, oh, thank you very much. So that poem is inspired, I was talking about this earlier during the workshop. We're not trying not to assume who the speaker is in the poem. I am the I in my poems. Assume that it's me. Or if I say it's my daughter, it's probably my daughter. But this was taken from a true story. My daughter called me hysterical. I couldn't understand a word she was saying. And when she finally was able to get it out, she told me about the flat tire and the police officer coming. I said, well, what happened? What happened? Why are you so upset? She said, nothing, but it could have. And I knew what my duty was in that moment, not just as a mother, but as a person, was to reassure her, your fear is valid and comes from a history that lets you know that fear is true, that could have happened. And I'm so thankful that it didn't. But to understand how people of color, Black people in particular, have to live with that on a daily basis, this poem looks at that fear, that sense of fear. Drunk and code switching. This is the amen section right up here. I've been drinking. Slurring identity. A white girl once said cash instead of catch, and her pimp, overseers, learned a new currency, language, for the tribe who chant, lock her up, and I know they mean me. I don't drop my rusty smile while brushing the hair of a woman who decides if my family will eat. When she complains, say she feels like she been sucking D all day, and I think, what a wonderful world it must be to only feel like you've been sucking dick. So soft and small you can't get the ick out of your mouth. Somewhere a jaw is unhinged. A troll hard and eager to explain how wrong this poem is, if it's even a poem, translates, use my tools or cash you outside the gatekeeper's yard. The white woman who decides if my family will eat drools a, hey girl, she says, just for me. And we know it will never be as honest as the my nigga she swallows in silence. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. I'm doing on time. Let's see here. Maybe just a few more. Thank you. Let's see. The title poem, Lock. The old farm lock has seen more than 100 seasons. I hold it in my hand, trace my name in a century of dirt and rust. I know this closure, this need to hold firm. Another way to say enter and turn me loose. I heard a request. All right, I got you. So I don't go to church all the time, but church finds me all the time. You ever heard that say, he might not be on time, but he's always right on time. Was it? He might not be there when you want him, but he's always right on time. So Jesus, I call on him throughout many scenarios, and this is a list poem, some of those moments. Jesus be a prayer. Jesus be a fence. Jesus be a moat. Jesus be a back door. Jesus be a friend. Jesus be a payday. Jesus be a hookup. Jesus be a minute. Jesus be a minute. Jesus be a credit. Jesus be a discount. Jesus be a lover. Jesus be a kiss. Jesus be a nap. Jesus be a car. Jesus be a dance. Jesus be a drink. Jesus be a jam. Jesus be a no. Jesus be an exit. Jesus be a home. Jesus be a Monday. Jesus be a Friday. Jesus be a vacay. Jesus be a today. Jesus be a stillness. Jesus be a coffee. Jesus be a stillness. Jesus be a minute. Jesus be a minute. Jesus be a miracle. Jesus be amen. Thank you. So one of my mentors is our current U.S. Poet Laureate, Joy Harjo. If you're not familiar with her work, again, Google that, Joy Harjo. She's incredible. And she's actually our nation's first Indigenous Poet Laureate of the United States. Yeah, hey now. So I'm extremely proud and happy for her. And this poem I wrote after her. She has an incredible poem about releasing fear. And so I wanted to consider what's the opposite of that. When you release it, what then do you welcome in that space where fear lived? So I wrote this poem after her poem. I embrace you. I embrace you, my difficult and bright yellow joy. I embrace you. You are my dusk and dawn anew. I know you, my reflection, my face. I embrace you with arms I would open to a lover and a friend. You are my beating heart. I take you for the innocent who scream happiness loud as cannon fire. I take you in my mouth, clean water runs through my veins. I embrace you, joy, as you were born in my likeness through hands welcoming touch. I embrace you, I embrace you, I embrace you. I am not afraid to know sorrow. I am not afraid to feel pain. I am not afraid to laugh. I am not afraid to sing. I am not afraid to be other. I am not afraid to be here. I am not afraid to be light. I am not afraid to dance, to dance, to dance. Joy, you have spun me and I showed you my waist. You have held me and I release all my weight. You have cried with me and I watch your water join. I give myself to you, joy. You are the light on my face, the magic behind my eyes, my ears, my voice, my belly, my heart, my heart, my heart, my heart. Come here, joy. I am alive, and you are the reason why. Thank you. Yeah, I think just one more poem, maybe. Look at this. Yeah, just one more poem. Thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate y'all taking the time on this Thursday evening to come out and celebrate Black Poetry Day, even though you might not have known that. We'll be selling books afterwards. But I love to end, the poems, they arc through, some challenging, joyful work and everywhere in between. But I like to end on a moment of hope. For me, whenever I get stuck and I feel like, but things are so tragic right now, where do we look for reasons to continue, to show up? And for me, that lives in my children and just the eyes of children, period. That every time we have a child, we have another chance to get it right for them. So this poem is called First Song for Ayana, for my daughter. She wailed, and my heart stood still as the doctor dangled her head down and bloody like a fish, caught between the muck and pool of my churning water and vine, creeping awkwardly up to this blurry life of tears and loose soil. The delivery room held fast while her silence echoed off defibrillators, nursing hands, and her father tending my hollow, earthbound body, waiting for his daughter's first solo in a chorus of furrowed brows. We wanted to hear her wail with a quick slap on the ass, desperate breath and sound, at least a whimper of newness, not this eternal pause of her wide eyes questioning yes or no to this world of uncertainties. She wailed, and my heart stood still in that resounding yes, yes, she would stay in this imperfect place with all of its cobwebs and stars. Here, in the shit and pain of birth, she wailed, and her song began. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Stay right here.
Oh, okay.
Stay right here.
She caught you. Dr. Gavin to get you. Aw.
Excellent.
So much.
Wonderful poetry reading. You may have a question or comment for Amanda Johnston. Does anyone have a question about her poetry? Yes. Stand up and really punch it out there so we can hear you.
Hi. What made you first decide that you wanted to write poetry?
Ooh, how do I say? So poetry is always with us. We talked about this a little bit in the workshop. Poetry enters our lives early in life. It's how many of us learn language, nursery rhymes, songs, things like that. But for me, wanting to capture my own poetry, I really didn't start seriously until I was about around y'all's age. I was in Kentucky. I had just moved there from Texas, and while my husband was stationed at Fort Knox. So it was a big shift moving from Austin, Texas to Fort Knox, Kentucky. And I needed a way to kind of capture my thoughts and feelings. And poetry served that need. And once I started writing and I started reading, and then I got really hungry for it. And I started chasing and studying and discovered it was still in me. It was who I am, that I'm a poet. Thank you. So, did you have a question?
I just had a statement. I was just going to say that this is amazing. I never, really been into poetry, but honestly, this experience has inspired me. And I love that you incorporated, issues that happen around the world, and you use your voice through poetry to show that change needs to happen. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And what's the name of the group?
Word is born.
Word is Born.
Word is born.
It's here on
Let
campus.
her know who you are.
Right there.
Your word is born. Because we really want students to join that organization. It's a great organization. We had a good time last night, and we need other people there. And by the way, we have our student assistants from the Furious Flower with us, Evan and Jessica. Wade, stand up, stand up. Woo! Yeah. And I
Thank
told
you.
you I'd introduce you to Catherine Rogers. Catherine Rogers, stand up. Okay, that gave you a moment to
Fantastic.
think of another question. Anybody else? Question or comment? Yes, Jessica.
So you're talking about the murder of Tatiana Jefferson?
Tatiana Jefferson.
Yeah, no, I was, no, I was just reading not essays, articles, and just crying about it because they were very detailed in the way that they talked with the people who knew her. But anyway, I was asking when you were talking about between the poem When My Daughter Wasn't Assaulted and No Good Deed, how do you manage to reconcile that kind of anxiety and fear and writing poetry and if you can if you try to make it beautiful or if it's just presented like.
Thank you. The goal is, for me, is not beauty, it's honesty, and how to elevate the language through craft in a way that speaks the largest truth. So with those two poems in particular, fear and understanding, trying to understand the fear, is the work that the poem is doing. Capture that for the reader, that sense of anxiety and fear just existing. So in doing the work, it helps me to understand and accept you didn't have to do anything. You didn't do anything wrong. This is not your fault. And yet still that fear is real. And it comes from a long history of terrorism, of domestic terrorism. So understanding that and accepting it, because everything in this world will have us believe that we're exaggerating that, or that we're making it up. At the same time, we're watching in the news people be killed and slaughtered in their own homes. Yeah. It helps me with my sanity. It's mental health for me. I'm not imagining it, and I'm not the only one that sees it. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jessica. Yes. Lauren.
I'm just going to ask if you can tell our students a little bit about Black Poets Speak Out and where they can access it.
Sure. So Black Poets Speak Out started in 2014. Myself and other poets, Mahogany Brown, Jericho Brown, John Terry Gadsden, and Sharina Rodriguez Sharp came together through Cave Canem Fellows. We're all Cave Canem Fellows, so we were able to find each other through that group. And we wanted to put something into action through poetry to speak out against these police killings, this violence. It was specifically after the non-indictment of Darren Wilson and the murder of Mike Brown. So we decided we were going to say our names, put our personhood up front, so that we were committing ourselves, not just our creative work, but our bodily selves, the way so many of us have lost our lives, lost our personhood. We were going to commit those of us who are still alive and have voices to speak up front, and then use poetry by Black poets to speak to injustice, post videos of that. And so in 2014, it was Black Friday after Thanksgiving, we started posting videos. In a few days, there were hundreds of videos online. So you can just Google Black Poets Speak Out online and you'll find it. It's a Tumblr page, but there's over 300 videos resourced there. And you'll see all kinds of people, poets, non-poets, allies, accomplices, sharing their work and the works of other Black poets. There's also resources for how you can write to your representatives, how you can speak out to your elected officials and let them know that you expect to see them taking an active stance against all of this, or elect someone else. That's what we get to do, right? So yeah, Black Poets Speak Out, or if you search the hashtag Black Poets Speak Out, you'll see videos and other information and resources. Thank you.
Earlier, Amanda alluded to a wonderful workshop that we had this afternoon. It was fabulous, and we had about 9 of us there reading poems, and then we got homework to do. We were to choose a line from one of the poems that we had read together, and then compose a poem. Mm-hmm. Well, it turns out that one of the people at that workshop did exactly what you asked her to do. And so we'd like to give this to you as a gift.
Oh, wonderful. Red, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so Samali Okonji, all right, is going to come up and read her poem.
Please
this is
do.
for you, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm
Samali Jamie Akonji. I am a Black poet who will not remain silent. While this nation murders Black people, I have the right to be angry. So the line that I picked was from Lucille Clifton's Won't You Celebrate With Me? And it was between starshine and clay. In our eyes, there is a glimmer, twinkles mirrored from the source. We are from the sun, see? Our skin pigment says so. Within our wombs, our bellies, babies wrestle, ocean seas. Africa, America, in between, triplets woven, born unbroken. Our feet are planted in soil so sweet, sands, ancestral ashes, motherland and slave ship crashes. Between starshine and clay, we are deeply rooted, and I am unmovable.